Dangerous. Sounds great. Nice impact. But something was off, wasn't it? I feel this. The swing of the hammer felt like it was on land and not underwater. In this video, I want to talk about underwater locomotion Foley. My name is Bastian Gerner, I'm a senior Foley artist. I've worked on games like Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora and Assassin's Creed, and I have a huge back catalog in movies and series. Kevin Regemi and his team at Power Up Audio did a great job at sound designing Subnautica 2. By the way, I also have a video about Subnautica 1. You can have a listen and watch here. But now we want to talk about these underwater sounds in specific, and I want to show you how you can record those sounds with just a little plastic water basin in your own studio without even having a hydrophone. So let's have a look first into the game and what type of locomotion, underwater locomotion, is actually needed for it. So we have the jumping into the water. Then the swimming motion of the arms. In two versions, above water and then below water, like underwater. Then we have, there is the underwater, like half, and then we have those bubbles, and then the actual fast move. Bubbles, and then going from up and then down. Now the harvesting sounds, I talked about that in my last video. I feel in Subnautica 2 this is an homage to the first game because the harvesting sounds are quite similar. Okay, now we know what type of motions we need for a game like that. We need the bubbles of the air, we need the strokes underwater and above water, we need some splashes when the player jumps in, and then we have those transition sounds from going up and then diving down, and then we have those fast movements when there's actually a dash going on, like a progression, a fast progression. We need like a special underwater swoosh. For those hammer sounds, I also want to record a layer that actually maybe gives it a bit more underwater feel that can be combined with that normal air whoosh that they place there. I understand that you need this air whoosh maybe to get some clarity into that fighting, but maybe we can add some water motion that makes it then feel even more natural, let's say, in that context. But how you can do this, and this is what I want to show you now. This little water basin that I'm about to show you just in a second might look very DIY and maybe unprofessional even, but I can prove that this can be used in professional context because I recorded a lot of underwater sounds for a movie called Marianengraben, and I can show you the trailer, and after that I'm gonna explain what I recorded there. You will see motion and bubbles, but you don't hear it in the trailer because there the dialogue is in front and more important, but throughout the movie these scenes appear a lot, and then we had more space to actually show the motion and to highlight that also from the Foley side. Let's have a quick look into the trailer.
11.000 Meter unter dem Meer, wo es kein Licht mehr gibt. Der Druck hier unten ist so hoch, dass ich Angst habe zu implodieren.
This was actually the first movie that I performed and recorded in this particular studio after I had to close my first studio, which was a Dolby Atmos hybrid studio. But this is another story. There's a whole documentary on my YouTube channel about building my first studio. You can have a look and watch here. Let's go into how you can record those sounds yourself with that little basin I mentioned now already a couple of times. Let's go. As simple as that. Get something like this for 10 euros and you can record professional grade Foley in your home studio or edit suite. And there are 4 things that you should consider before starting. First, cover the sides with towels so that if the water hits that plastic, you don't get that plastic resonance into your recordings. Second, put something on the floor that can soak up the water quickly when something spills over, and that way you don't have to worry about the water is running in certain corners of your room. Third, secure your equipment, put something on top of it or whatever to avoid water onto your recording gear. And last but not least, the fourth thing that you should consider is use a shotgun microphone rather than a big condenser or dynamic microphone, because I feel the recordings then are more believable and sound more natural. Let's do it and let's get some water into this finally. Setup is ready, sides are covered, floor is covered, equipment is covered, the sides are covered with Basotec absorption panels to mitigate early reflections. And now let's listen to the difference between the TLM-103 big condenser microphone and the MKH-416 from Sennheiser shotgun microphone. First, the TLM, both of them same kind of gain staging, a little bit of high cut, a little bit of transient shaping. TLM, let's go. Now the MKH. Always wait for those bubbles to disappear in between takes, because you don't want that on your performance. Now, which one do you like better? I prefer the MKH because it sounds a bit more focused, and also here it is covered with some foam already, so therefore more waterproof. So let's get rid of the TLM and do the performance of those whooshes of the hammer and add this underwater feeling to that airy whoosh that is already working in game. Maybe we can make it a little bit better with that. If not, it was worth a trial. Okay, let's do it. You noticed in the beginning I was way too overperforming this. I need that underwater sound, so actually stay underwater with my hand and not bring too much water to the surface. And that's actually the trick to get that underwater feeling without any hydrophone or something, just with that little bass in here. Let's have a listen together with this few assets that actually worked, okay? Reality check. Let's listen to that section with the hammer with the original gameplay only. There you can see the grayed out clip in the timeline, and then the section again with those yellow clips that I placed in sync already from the recording that I just did. And you can decide for yourself. Let's go. To give you a bit more perspective, let's play those sounds solo. And now the whole thing again. For me, I am already a bit more scared when this action happens and I get this underwater kind of resonance from my movements. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And now let's move on to something special. So that's the Discord channel of Aftertouch Audio. If you don't know Aftertouch Audio, they have this Master Gun sound library that they always update. And then they have these ongoing challenges. Current challenge is about Subnautica 2. I downloaded the file here already, and you can see there the community talk behind those challenges. The last one was about armory sounds. They even referenced one of my videos, which is really cool. So thank you for that. And now let's have a look at the current challenge of Subnautica 2. Okay, glitchy touches, sci-fi kind of feeling. Maybe a bit of water involved as well. And then you have all the UI sounds. So let's give this a quick try. And I want to use a tool called Krotos Studio for that. Let's go. I think we can start with an underwater sound layer that I discovered here underwater. There is an underwater movement section, and we can start recording a bed of these kind of sounds that we can then play around with later. Let's do this. I also found, interestingly enough, there is some interface and games, glitch, sci-fi, magic, creator, infographics. What's glitch? That's cool. We could maybe use that for the touching. Okay, so going too crazy with left and right, that's not what we want. Okay, I like that. Gizmo gadget. Okay, let's try that for the UI. One layer. Lo-fi glitch. I like this one and that one. So it's underwater. Pitch it a bit higher. So let's have a look at the timeline. These are all the UI sounds that I created. And then I have those two layers of texture, one underwater and then this sci-fi sound. This might take a while now to actually build something from that, but let me see what I can do. First of all, I have to find all the beats and mark them, touching hand on surface, and then all the UI moments as well. Now already checking all the sounds and placing them according to what I think. And then making some final adjustments and play it back for the first time. I'm half an hour in and this is already something I can start to see where this can be going. I need definitely more time to explore the tool and also to layer more sounds to get this really dialed in. But you can see in half an hour, and I only used maybe 10 minutes to go through Krotos Studio and actually perform and create some sounds, and then another 20 minutes to layer it and listen to everything and do my choices and do a little bit of editing here and there. And already it feels like, okay, there is something that works, which is a great achievement for me, but this is not a final result. Let's record some more water sounds to maybe bridge that gap of what's missing, get some glue into this as a quick fix for now. Okay, let's do this. This is my final result. 35 minutes of time invest with Krotos Studio and additional Foley recording with a little bit of treatment. I can show you the treatment. It's just a bit of EQ for the underwater feel, low end compression, and a bit of reverb. That's it. Let's have a listen and tell me in the comments what you think. Big shoutouts to Aftertouch Audio. I sat down with Tyler Gillis, the CEO, and we had a conversation on my Pro Audio Secrets podcast. If you're interested in that, I'm gonna link it here so you can have a listen or watch the episode if you want. Big shoutouts to Power Up Audio for the great sound design of Subnautica 2. I mentioned Kevin Regimi and his team already in the video about Subnautica 1, and I had a full circle moment just this week because a game audio sound designer who's just starting out contacted me and saying that he wants to actually join my Gamescom Game Audio Barbecue, which is happening on the 29th of August, the Saturday of Gamescom. And he was also already in touch with Kevin Regimi about his portfolio, because Kevin is kind of famous for his series that he ran on Twitch, giving live feedback to people's portfolios, showreels, websites and whatnot. So go to Twitch and have a watch there on what he actually gave feedback on. I'm not sure if he's doing this currently, but as the guy who reached out to me, Toby from Nuremberg, shoutouts, was mentioning that he was in touch with him on the DMs on LinkedIn. So there might be a way, if you want feedback from him, to actually get it. And if you want to come to my studio, 29th of August, barbecue, DM me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and then I'll get you on a WhatsApp group so we can then meet here. Having said that, thanks for watching. Everyone who's interested in real guidance on Foley recording, join the Foley Guild, because that's the place to be for that if you want me as your mentor. And then see you in one of the next videos. Peace, the Foley teacher.